One name has been reaching previously unheard of heights in the women's basketball world: Caitlin Clark. Clark has become a phenomenon as a player who has enthralled both the sports community and a worldwide audience. She has had incredible success, broken records, and defied expectations throughout her journey, from her time as an Iowa college student to her current position as a major player in the WNBA. Even more unexpected than her quick ascent to fame, though, has been the criticism she has received from several WNBA players who feel intimidated by her power. Why does Caitlin Clark evoke such intense feelings in people? Why can't some of her WNBA teammates enjoy her accomplishments without feeling jealous? Clark's achievements, both on and off the court, are truly remarkable. Her time at Iowa, where she rose to fame, was the beginning of it all. She has received too many honors to list, and each time you believe she has peaked, she amazes you with something more greater. It seems like it would take a full minute to describe all of her accomplishments in the video that Indiana Fever recently posted about her. Clark, on the other hand, acts modest and unimpressed, as though she is only beginning. Her incredible ascent isn't solely due to her skill on the court. It's also a result of the way she has changed the women's basketball scene. Caitlin Clark has completely changed the definition of what it means to be a superstar in the sport, setting new milestones and benchmarks for achievement. In addition to drawing in supporters, she has drawn in new viewers, including young girls who want to follow in her footsteps and casual sports watchers who are only now starting to appreciate the thrill of women's basketball. Her influence is demonstrated by the statistics, which show that her participation in the WNBA has increased clothing sales by an incredible 500%. Sales have increased sixfold, and Clark's star power is solely responsible for this. Her success extends beyond sales of items. In ways the WNBA has never experienced before, Caitlin Clark has truly raised awareness of the league. Both game attendance and viewership are at all-time highs. Clark is a lightning rod for women's basketball, attracting spectators who otherwise would not have paid attention, according to one sports economist. Clark has lifted the bar and established a new standard for expectations, which is why she has been likened to Michael Jordan in her capacity to increase the visibility of her sport. The WNBA will no longer accept subpar viewership or unimpressive press coverage. Caitlin Clark has permanently altered the game. Caitlin Clark has already produced $36 million for the city of Indianapolis alone in terms of economic effect. Even if it's only one city, it demonstrates just how widespread her influence is. One sports analyst estimates that during the next 3 years, the total value of professional women's basketball might rise by $1.6 billion. The statistics clearly demonstrate Caitlin Clark's influence. She is the WNBA's long-awaited superstar, a player who not only packs arenas, but also significantly boosts the league's revenue. Nevertheless, Caitlin Clark has experienced a degree of silence from the WNBA that appears to be almost intentional in spite of all of her accomplishment. To put it plainly, the WNBA's reaction to her being selected Time's 2024 Athlete of the Year, a significant accolade, was lackluster. A straightforward retweet. No congratulatory post. No recognition of her achievements. Only a chilly, uncaring share. Compare that to how the WNBA handled Candace Parker. After she had received the same honor, Parker was praised with posts that emphasized her accomplishments. So what's the difference? Why hasn't Clark received any recognition? Given the influence Caitlin Clark has had on the league, this lack of recognition is perplexing. By herself, she has raised more awareness of the WNBA than the majority of seasoned players could ever hope to. She's shattering records, increasing merchandise sales, and gaining new followers. But when it comes to honoring her, the league's social media platforms are oddly silent. There are no celebratory posts, no hype films, and no recognition of her remarkable accomplishments. The WNBA seems to be attempting to act as if she doesn't exist. Other sports leagues, such as the NBA, would be yelling about such a superstar from the rooftops. Thus, this is a lost chance. What is the reason for the WNBA's odd silence on one of its biggest stars? The league's social media sites are not the only place where quiet persists. It appears that Caitlin Clark's ascension is causing several WNBA players to struggle. Although professional envy is not a new occurrence in sports, it is surprising to see how some veterans are responding to Clark's success, given her contributions to the league. For instance, Asia Wilson. Wilson, a three-time WNBA MVP, shouldn't be intimidated by Clark. But in a recent interview, she raised doubts about the standards used to recognize Clark, suggesting that his honors weren't fully merited. A champion's strength is not demonstrated by this type of passive aggressive reaction, or rather, it betrays insecurity. Then there is Angel Reese, the LSU standout who became well known following a high profile confrontation with Clark. Reese has made it clear that she wants to leave her mark on the women's basketball scene, but her remarks, particularly in the wake of Clark's accomplishments, evidence a competitive, almost jealous attitude. Reese's statement that she is also the reason why people follow women's basketball, rather than simply Clark, came across as defensive, as though she felt compelled to remind everyone that the sport is about more than just Clark. However, it's difficult to dispute that Clark is the game's face right now, and her world renowned performances are drawing attention. The response from WNBA icon Cheryl Swoops, who questioned the standards for Caitlin Clark's Time Athlete of the Year award, was even more unexpected. Swoops, a woman who ought to support the next generation of athletes, appeared to minimize Clark's accomplishments by implying that other athletes, such as Asia Wilson, ought to have received the same recognition. The most perplexing aspect is that Swoop's remarks seem to be a direct reaction to Clark's accomplishment, as though she was attempting to downplay the importance of the honor. This type of conduct is harmful, not simply petty. This internal conflict might have long term negative implications in a league that is trying to gain respect and recognition, particularly in the male dominated world of sports. Thanks to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is under more scrutiny than ever before at a pivotal point in its history. But instead of taking advantage of this momentum, some of the league's most well known players are too preoccupied with small time drama to comprehend the wider picture. Not only are these WNBA veterans disparaging Clark, but they are also jeopardizing the future of women's basketball while they do it. Young players will be discouraged from shining too brightly because they fear being singled out by their peers if the league permits this kind of internal divide to persist. Despite the fact that nobody should have to apologize for their success, some WNBA players feel compelled to justify their accomplishments in the face of criticism. This drama is affecting Caitlin Clark's media coverage in addition to happening behind the scenes. Although she is praised by the media for her contributions to the game, the WNBA's own media bubble views her with much more skepticism, as if seeking any excuse to undermine her influence. WNBA-specific media sources appear to be challenging the standards for her success, rather than praising her historic achievements. Two distinct narratives about the same player are being created by the gap between the WNBA-specific and mainstream media, which is just escalating the internal league conflict. What does all of this signify for the WNBA and Caitlin Clark then? The future of women's basketball will be shaped by how the league and its players react to Caitlin Clark's success. But one thing is certain, her narrative is far from over. Will they accept her for the celebrity she is? Or will they keep engaging in small-scale competition and jealousy games? They have the ball, and their actions could have a significant impact on the league's overall course. The WNBA must acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent, as she has already demonstrated. She has the ability to take the league to new heights, but only if the league accepts her completely and ceases letting internal politics and jealousy impede its development. Women's basketball has a bright future, but it must be free from the internal strife and drama that impede its progress. As supporters, we can only hope that the league would acknowledge Caitlin Clark as a game changer and let her continue to set the standard for the upcoming basketball stars.